Hello, this is John Kitsteiner, and this is another episode of our life here on the farm. And what I'm looking at is a patch of Maximilian sunflowers. These are a native sunflower to the United States, and a lot of people in the permaculture world kind of like this plant because it can do a few things. The biggest thing that they will often use with the Maximilian sunflower is use them as a planting between pastures and a planned garden area, food forest or something like that. And that's for a few reasons. One is that these leaves are kind of sandpapery, and apparently deer don't like to kind of walk through them. They also don't eat them very much, although they do say that goats will eat them, so I'm not exactly sure on that aspect of the plant. There's also, they do produce sunflower seeds like the larger sunflowers. We actually do have a few of the native large sunflowers that are here in this area in East Tennessee. But the seeds are edible. They're very small, so kind of monotonous to get through, but you can make some oil out of them, press them for sunflower oil as well. And also, as the plant dies down, they do produce some edible tubers. I've pulled up a couple so far, and I've not been able to find them, but I do think that it's because the tuber forms a little bit later on in their growing cycle. Also, sometimes people have reported that when they're in this kind of thick clay, sandy, rocky soil, they might not produce tubers as much. But it's interesting because we didn't do any planting of these, and these plants were not here last year. And so it's hard to say why they suddenly took off. You can kind of see them shooting out across in the distance out here as well. We've got them popping up across the farm, and you know, it's interesting the kind of the seasonality and the cycles that plants have. We've had a bit of a drought here lately, and a drought for eastern United States, nothing like the West or in other parts of the world. But in this area, we are not getting nearly as much rain as we normally get. It hasn't rained for a few weeks, which those in the West and other parts of the world would probably laugh at. However, these conditions allow other things to grow and to thrive, potentially in places where they wouldn't before. And so it's hard to know if this is something that happened because of the weather conditions. I'm standing right on the downslope of our swale that we put in. Maybe it was the disturbed soil that brought some seeds from the naturally occurring seed bank up to the surface, and they just liked the conditions that they were in. We've run animals through this area, so maybe it was the animal disturbance that allowed them to grow. It's hard to know. It's always kind of interesting to speculate, but these are a neat, really beautiful flower that have popped up across our fields, which is kind of neat. You can kind of see across the other side. Let me see if I can zoom in here. They're shooting up across the other hillside as well. But I just thought I'd share this, kind of a fun find that we just popped up here. And if I can find some edible tubers, I'll definitely share that with you as well and kind of show you what we do with them. They say it's similar to a Jerusalem artichoke. They're all in the same family. The Jerusalem artichoke is also a native sunflower plant, not an artichoke and not from Jerusalem. But I can get into that a little bit later when we actually plant some of those here on the farm. But that's it for now. This is John Kitsteiner in Bulls Gap, Tennessee.